Good evening and welcome to a very special Gilas Pilipinas episode of The Game. I'm Paulo Del Rosario. In tonight's game plan, Gilas Pilipinas is set to face China in an exhibition game ahead of their trip to the FIBA Olympic qualifying tournament in Belgrade. SBP Media Officer Carlo Pamintuan gives us the latest on our national squad. We'll talk Gilas point guards from Jimmy Alapag to Jayson Castro to the next generation of SJ Belangel and RJ Abarientos. And joining me here is one of our favorite co-hosts, Jet Manuel, who apparently on social media is being told to cut his hair. How are you?
I cut my hair already, and I'm your favorite co-host.
Okay,
so
okay.
Get
So
out of the way.
you're saying that for
Yes.
yourself, and people would like to argue that. Anyway, Gilas Pilipinas now has its sights set on the FIBA Olympic qualifying tournament in Belgrade. But before that, our national squad is prepping to face China in an upcoming exhibition match tomorrow at the Angeles University Foundation Gym. Now, joining the game tonight is SBP Media Officer Carlo Pamintuan to give us the latest on the national squad. And, just to make sure that we get this all right. Jet, Carlo,
Pamintuan.
Jet. Yeah, there
Carlo
you go.
Pamintuan right there.
There you go. That's how you do
Perfect.
it. All right, Carlo, unang-una, this team is back in training. It's like they never really had a break. Kamusta naman sila?
I actually had a one-day break after they finished up their duties in the FIBA Asia Cup 2021 qualifiers. Coach Tab Baldwin gave them the Monday off to just heal up and rest and enjoy each other's company and maybe stay a little bit later on that Sunday after the second win against Korea. But after that, back to work na kanina, no? They practice at 10 a.m., practice from 10 to 12. So they just work on the same stuff. They honed their offense. They took care of their defense. They ran a couple of things that, they could use against China in their tune-up game at 4:30 tomorrow. And again, the entire team of Coach Tab Baldwin with this squad is teaching. And that's what they continue to do earlier. It's them just focusing on the stuff that they were doing from way back in Laguna, trying to remember it, trying to refresh it once again, trying to perfect it. That has been part of the process. And they're not stopping. Every time that they get to practice, they go back to that.
Okay, well, back to work, back to teaching, like you mentioned. This tune-up game that you mentioned tomorrow against China, maybe you can give us an insight on how this actually came to be.
Actually, it was China who really planned to stay here at the Quest Hotel for an extended period of time. They wanted to travel from here directly to Canada. So when the Philippines figured that this was a possibility for them, and then they started talking. I think it was a back and forth between our federation, the Samahang Basketball ng Pilipinas, and China's federation. They started talking, of course, coordinating with FIBA as well. And then it all just came together. They saw that it would be mutually beneficial for both teams to go play a tune-up match against each other because, every game that you play is a step towards the right direction. It could prepare you for the future games ahead. China is going to Canada to face really good teams there as well, Canada and Greece, I believe, and then we will be facing really talented teams in Serbia and the Dominican Republic. So we're up against giants. And every little bit of additional preparation would help us in those games.
Talking about preparation, actually, originally on today's episode, dapat nandito si SJ Belangel and RJ Abarientos joining us via Zoom, still from the Quest Hotel. But then, all of a sudden, nag-team meeting sila and they're film viewing for China. And some people might say that, tune-up game lang to eh.
This is a tune-up.
Yeah, I mean, and it's the amount of preparation going into this is actually impressive, Carlo. Could you give us a bit of a background on that?
They are not going into this game, doing film on China with the sole focus of beating China. It's not for that, diba? Parang yun yung inaakala natin. Since they're practicing for China and doing film on China, maybe they're really preparing to beat China at all costs. It's not that. It's actually more to develop a rhythm, to develop something that you could carry forward, diba? It's a process. When you go up against a team, you practice your stuff, you try to study them, you present it to the players for them to see where they could attack, what could work. Kasi if everyone is thinking about that matchup, then it will be better for the team. So this is to develop this is to develop the team for the long run because they will have to do this over and over again starting with Serbia and the Dominican Republic, and then moving forward for August for the FIBA Asia Cup. They will have to do this multiple times in a span of 2 weeks. So if you get into that flow, into that normal routine of really dissecting the opponents, yung mga makakalaban mo, nakikilala mo sila, you get to work as a team, share ideas with your coaches. It's all part of the process. So huwag kayong magugulat that they're studying this hard for a tune-up game because this will teach itong Gilas Pilipinas to really focus on doing this for the long run.
I mean, in the long run, you talk about preparation for the team, preparation for China and Giants. Let's narrow in or zoom in on a specific player. They're undefeated China's undefeated in their Asia Cup qualifiers, led by a former NBA player, Soto. Maybe have you heard any special mention about him? How's the coaching staff and the team preparing or maybe feeling out how they're going to go up against a guy like him?
I really don't think that you can prepare for a guy like him because he's a special talent. And then you will also have to worry about every other Chinese player in the roster because they're all good. I mean, of course, he is the star, but you have the veteran Zhu Pang also there. I mean, you cannot forget about him. I think one thing that's actually going for the Philippines is that we have a bit of height this time around because in the past we would have, Andre Blatch or Marcus Tautit and then Junmar Fajardo. But after that, there will be a significant, reduction in height with the third man there. But with this squad, there is enough height to contend with them. I don't think they will try anything special.
Yeah.
They will still rely on their usual defense. They will not treat Zuchi or Zupang any differently from how they treated the other power forwards and centers of the opposing team. Are they better? Of course they are. I mean, but when you already have the experience of going up against a guy like Ragon Ah, who was really good also for the Korean squad, and then you learn more from going up against a lankier center in Zuchi this time around.
Yeah. Well, Carlo, last time around when you were still in the bubble, this time for the 3x3 competition, ikaw yung nag-operate ng scoreboard, if I'm not mistaken, sa mga scrimmages nila eh. In this particular scrimmage tune-up game, will there be referees, a box score? Ikaw ba yung mag-ooperate ng scoreboard mismo? Will you record the stats? How is it gonna be like in terms of, I guess, making sure that this is really an official thing? Or will it be kind of segmented in like how scrimmages are for the sake of practice?
So I think I will have a role still, but the Samahang Basketball ng Pilipinas did a great job in reallocating the talent that was here to begin with for the FIBA Asia Cup. Table officials will stay, referees will stay. So this will be run like a true game. Our producers in Nick Earnshaw will be a cameraman for Gilas Pilipinas because they want film on this, of course. So Nick will be staying at the rafters, just taking video that the team could use later on. And then I will be taking the video on the bench, which was his role that he will have to do for now. So everyone's still doing everything kahit na nabawasan na yung mga tao dito sa quest. We still have our own roles. But again, it's how it's supposed to be. I mean, the entire point is to play a real game. Diba? You can call it a tune-up game, but unless you imagine it as a true competition between the Philippines and China, hindi ka matututo eh. That's the point. The team wants to learn from this experience. The coaching staff wants to learn from this experience, and they will do that by playing a legitimate game against China.
I just want to say, I mean, when we played in China before, Carlo was with us, and I didn't know that that's his special skill. We should have made him do our shot clock and cover our scores too.
Oh, I mean, like, I know he could do that.
I didn't know that.
Shout out also to direct Nick Earnshaw, who every time he produces something, it really is the Earnshaw. Carlo, thank you for that update. We'll get more on Gilas when we return. Carlo's not going away. The Gilas fever has not ended yet. Rising Gilas Pilipinas point guards SJ Abarientos and RJ Abarientos and SJ Belangel are stars in Gilas, and we're going to talk about them when the game returns. welcome back to the game. I'm Paulo De Rosario. Jet Manuel's still here with me. Now, sound the alarm. There's a new generation of Gilas Pilipinas point guards who are rising up to the challenge and raising the flag up high. Young point guards SJ Belangel and RJ Abarientos have definitely proven that they more than deserve their national team spots. SJ Belangel's buzzer-beating three-point shot at the end of the first Korea game is simply an iconic moment on its own. And with his fearlessness inside the court, RJ Abarientos has shown us that he is an instant and big-time spark off the bench. Tonight, let's talk about these young heroes of Gilas Pilipinas with SVP Media Officer Carlo Pamintuan. And again, ladies and gentlemen, we apologize because they were supposed to be here pero nag-meeting sila, but instead, we're getting the next best thing. A lot of Carlo Pamintuan. Carlo!
In the same height.
Magkahit ba kayo? Oo, actually.
First of all, I apologize for being here. It was supposed to be SJ and RJ, so I'm so sorry for being here. But it's my pleasure to talk to you guys and just, give you a glimpse of what's happening actually inside. Because, not everyone, there are very few people who can, see the games actually. So what you don't see from the games, what you don't see from the news reports, I will be more than happy to fill in for you guys.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's talk about a moment first that everyone did not see but now knows about. That SJ Belangel game winner. Hindi para sa kanya yan eh. Para kay Tamayo, supposedly, originally. But then, in that moment, it was given to him. What does that say about yung trust sa kanya, his ability to actually contort his body and be creative to make that shot? And was it really a surprise to everyone on the team?
It's a funny that you mentioned trust, no? Because it's something that I brought up when I talked to Matt Nieto when he was still inside the Calamba bubble. I asked him, Matt, what created your trust between you as a player and Coach Tab Baldwin as your coach? Was it the championships? I said. And then Matt said, no, not really, Kuya Carlo. What created the trust, more than the result, was the time that they spent together in Ateneo and of course in the Gilas program after that. So I think it's the same trust between Coach Tab Baldwin and SJ Belangel. It's the hours and hours of practice. Of course, it's the games, it's the winning, it's the championships. But more than that, it was just the minutes that they've spent together getting to know each other. I shot that video actually of Coach Tab recreating the SJ miracle shot, just showing them that it wasn't lucky. You can practice a shot
skill
like
siya!
that.
Hindi siya chamba! Hindi siya chamba!
Okay, see him run out of the gym.
SJ also shot it again. I think Coach Sandy got a video of it.
Pero pasok naman yung ginawa ni SJ.
For sure.
Okay.
For sure.
Alright, just making sure.
Pumasok yung pang-apat, pinost namin yung pang-apat.
Okay.
So,
Sinabihan si Carlo in other words.
I'm telling secrets here.
Edited yan edited.
Going back to SJ, if you watch him in high school or in college, you know that when he has the ball, he has no fear. If he has to take a shot to win the game, he will take it. And in that case, you never really doubted. With 2 seconds remaining, he had limited options. But before that, you also know that he was the one who shot the layup that gave them the lead. So wala talagang takot yung bata eh. Even if he has very limited international basketball experience, and by limited, we mean that he only played in the William Jones Cup with Ateneo in 2018. After that, hindi naman siya nakapaglaro ng international basketball in this level. And when he faced Korea, they lost badly. So he wanted this opportunity to really prove to Korea that, that members of that team, Mike Nieto, I think William Navarro was there, and Kwame and himself, that they improved, that they were able to work on their games and learn from their mistakes in going up against a Korean side and actually beat them this time around.
I mean, Carlo, you talk about SJ, but I want to go to another side of the backcourt. Dwight Ramos, probably a fan favorite.
Probably lang.
Not just first game, but let's just leave it at that. No?
Kasi
Iba na natin sa ganun.
He's saintly kasi.
He's saintly, okay.
Yeah, tama.
Let's just leave it at that. But I wanna talk about their relationship. I mean, both of them, they're gonna be playing for Ateneo next year. How do you see them off the court? I mean, on the court, we can see how they play together. But off the court, do you see ba na parang may
konting chemistry siguro?
May TikTok videos pa sila or something like that?
May TikTok videos.
Si Dwight kasi sobrang hirap basahin because he's just so quiet. Like, you would not know kung sino yung mga pinaka-close niya dun sa team or whatnot. But what I know is that SJ and RJ are really close. Sa sobrang close nila, kambal na yung tawag sa kanila yung team because they're always together, always working out together. They're both point guards. But you know what? Itong si Dwight Ramos naman, I think he was forced a little bit to play point guard after Matt Nieto went down with an injury. I think that was the thing. Of course, RJ and SJ, as we know, are very talented and are capable of playing in the international game. But for Coach Tab, iba yung trust niya with someone who has a little bit more experience, and Dwight Ramos has a little bit more. He played in the U.S. Collegiate scene. You know that he is undeniably good. So when he was asked to play the point position, he was more than willing to chip in and play alongside SJ and RJ and actually lead that very tall team. Nakita niyo ba yun, di ba? There was a time when he was playing in the backcourt with Jordan Heading, and then they had Carl Tamayo and
Grabe yung size niya.
which were one of the taller units that I think we've had as a country in quite a while.
Yeah, I mean, like,
and they're young too.
Oh, I mean, it's incredible that we can consider ourselves a tall team right now. But I actually want to talk about someone who's not that tall. See, RJ. When we had Coach Olsen just yesterday, he mentioned that it's a possibility that he's actually better than Johnny A at his age. Of course, in the comparisons, you can't really deny it. But then when you hear something like that and then you see the way he plays, do you feel that that's a fair description to make?
I think it's unfortunate that we have to compare him to one of the best who have ever played in the PBA. Diba? Parang Johnny A, for me, is the best point guard that we've seen in the country, period, bar none. That is how much respect I have to Johnny Abarientos. And yes, you get to see glimpses of that with RJ, the flash, the mid-range game, the short shorts, the hair, the way he carries himself. Parang pareho talaga eh, parang carbon copy ng Johnny
He sounds
Abarientos.
like him. Close your eyes, listen to him.
He even interviews like Johnny Abarientos. I don't know if he is the dancer that Johnny Abarientos is.
Oo.
We might get to find out in the future. But for me, RJ is more than comfortable with knowing that he will be compared to his uncle. Pero sa kanya, there's really no pressure because he enjoys the game so much. He will do his best to prepare himself. He has Johnny A whispering in his ear and to provide him with the knowledge that he has amassed in his amazing career. So ano talaga eh, he is destined to be a star.
Yeah.
And just to share a story between RJ and his uncle, no. I was asking him, RJ, when you were growing up, tinulungan ka ba agad, pinayuhan ka ba agad ni Johnny A about, your basketball career? Sabi niya hindi daw. Because I think Johnny A wanted to see that RJ would commit to the sport of basketball 100%. Like if you would work hard, if you would study well, if you would take care of your body, if you will watch what you eat. Parang lahat yan tinignan ni Johnny A. And then when he saw that RJ was doing all of the right things, then he invested more time with him. It's not like he didn't help him before, pero ngayon mas seryoso na. It's a deeper conversation between nephew and uncle about the sport of basketball now that they see eye to eye, that they're committed to the sport and they want to really push themselves to be the best.
Carlos, speaking about players with expectations.
I mean, Kai Soto, Carlo, you see him play. He's a former teammate actually of SJ, who we've been raving about. How do you see both of them playing? How do you see him for the future of the national team with the way the chemistry is with his teammates?
We've only seen glimpses of brilliance for Kai Soto because his time with the team is very limited. We've been raving about the future for Kai Soto, but you have to put everything into perspective. The team has been working out for months on end together. And then Kai Soto, of course, you have to put him in the team when you have a weapon like that. Kailangan mo siyang isama eh. But the things that they can run, the offense that they can run with him around, is limited by the fact that he can't know everything as of now. Kasi nga, hindi nila nakasama for as long as they did the rest of the team. But what really convinced me to say that the future is bright for Kai Soto was that he was a fighter. I mean, if you go up against Ricardo Ratliff, a guy built like a tank with years on you, diba? Si Ricardo is already pro. He's in the nandun siya dun sa ano niya eh. Nandun siya sa maximum capabilities niya as a basketball player.
Yeah.
And then a 19-year-old comes in, banks bodies with him, scores against him, battles for rebounds against him. That just gives you the idea that Soto will be even better. Because one, he works hard. Second, he's a fighter. Third, he did not mind that he was not the center of attention.
Yeah.
Like, he enjoyed every moment that his team did well, not just him. So
Yeah,
hindi siya hindi siya
It's a great point.
self-absorbed. When other players with that clout might drown with the expectations, with the attention on him, he didn't play that way. He played as a part of the team, and
Yeah.
that was the beauty of Soto with Gilas Pilipinas.
Can I just say, Jet, I'm very impressed by Carlo.
You
Kasi
should be the spokesperson for Gilas.
He is the media
He
officer.
should.
I literally am.
He is. Oo. Pero apart from that, kasi habang nag-roll yung highlights si Kai Soto, he was it felt like he was commentating on what was happening. Oo, pare, I miss seeing you cover games, hearing you cover games, and hopefully we get to
Hopefully we
hear
have
that
him back,
soon.
yeah.
Oh, hopefully we have him back
Yeah,
soon.
here.
But after the
person.
break,
In person.
yeah, we'll talk about iconic Gilas Pilipinas point guard Jimmy Alapag and Jayson Castro when the game returns. Welcome back to the game, and I'm Paulo Del Rosario alongside Jet Manuel. Once upon a time, two Filipino point guards with an average height of 5 feet and 10 inches marched into the Mall of Asia Arena in front of thousands of roaring Pinoy fans.
These two point guards proceeded to make clutch plays, leading the Philippines to victory and breaking the curse of South Korea. Next thing we knew, these guards impressed the whole world with their spectacular play in the 2014 FIBA World Cup.
But now, the year is 2021, and the new era has begun with a fresh generation of young, talented court generals, from Jimmy Alapag and Jayson Castro to SJ Belangel and RJ Abarientos. These are our proud Gilas point guards, buong pusong lumalaban para sa bayan. This group, Carlo, who is still with us, Carlo Pamintuan, the SBP media officer and spokesperson.
Gilas spokesperson.
Based on the job description, I think there's going to be a lot of comparisons. And kanina na-mention natin si RJ and si Johnny A because of the relation. But then when you have small guards making a big difference in Gilas, how do you feel do you think it would be fair to compare them at this point of their careers to the likes of Jimmy Alapag and Jayson Castro?
Well, we had no idea what Jimmy Alapag was at this stage of his career because we haven't seen him yet in the PBA. But for Jayson Castro, playing for the PCU Dolphins, you knew that he had incredible speed, did not have outstanding shooting. It was something that he worked on throughout his career. So I think it would be unfair to compare. And then, of course, kailangan mo ring isali dyan all the advancements in basketball training, di ba? Parang you're talking about basically like a 15-year gap, a 20-year gap in terms of just basketball evolving. You know, there are more weapons, there are more things that guys like RJ and SJ can take advantage of to help them become better players at this stage of their careers as compared to what was available to Jimmy Alapag and Jayson Castro back then when they were growing up. But I was actually able to ask Andakara Prastawa, the point guard of Indonesia, about being able to go up against the Philippines guards in the different levels of basketball, in the Southeast Asian Games, in the Siaba. Sila rin kasi yung nakalaban nila. They got to experience, not Jimmy, maybe Jayson, and then of course the other guards, Stanley Pringle. What they can say is that, you know, SJ and RJ lack the experience, but you see the similarities between them because they're, you know, you can see glimpses of what Jimmy and Jayson turned out to be. If I were to make the comparison, I would say SJ is more like Jimmy, and then RJ in terms of just pure talent is more like Jayson Castro.
Wow.
Of course, there are differences to the players, but I would like to make that comparison. Again, it's just the fact that we're even talking about SJ and RJ in the same breath as Jimmy and Jayson, two of the best point guards we've ever produced. And then we talked about one earlier in Johnny Abarientos, means that we're really, really high on the future of these guys. And it's just very exciting that we get to watch them perform in the international level this with their careers at this stage. Kasi sobrang nakikita mo agad what the future holds for those two.
Carlo, this is going to be this could be one of the more entertaining Gilas teams, one of the more productive Gilas teams that we've seen, especially if this group can stay together for a very long time. But I just want to ask, Jet, if we actually have our way, and let's say nakuha natin a certain Jordan Clarkson into this team. I mean, could you imagine a lineup with Clarkson and then you have SJ and RJ off the bench and all of that, and yung guard lineup natin parang iba ngayon eh.
That's going to be a lot of energy, a lot of offense, for sure. I mean, of course, you had to sneak in Jordan Clarkson because he's in Utah Jazz.
No. We had to sneak him in kasi Filipino siya eh, okay?
Filipino siya.
All right? That's the
Okay,
reason
sorry,
why,
sorry.
Jet.
Akala ko dahil sa Utah Jazz, which were eliminated. Okay, going back. I mean, the point Carlo made was perfect. For me, I think it's also unfair to compare them right now.
Yeah.
But what I can say is that both of these young guys have glimpses, like Carlos said, of the past great point guards for the Philippines, and they've put it in their game open-heartedly. They're playing great. I think it's really different when you're playing for the country, when you're playing for the flag, and I think it's the future. When whatever comparisons, whatever we say about their games right now and their ages, the future is bright for Philippine basketball.
Tama yan. And Carlo, thank you very much for joining us. I know that you didn't expect to be here
Thanks,
this
Carlo
long.
Pamintuan.
Okay. Did you just say his name wrong again?
No, I said it right. I said it right.
Okay, all right.
I said it right.
All right.
Wish you were here live.
Okay, and with that,
Wish you were here live.
Jet, mag-thank you ka na.
Thank you. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'm Jet Manuel.
I'm Paolo Del Rosario. This has been The Game.